What's up, level uppers? Welcome to the premiere episode of the Netflix Club. I am Andrew. I make the show Midori. To my right, I got Dean the Beast from the East, Marchese.
Wow.
Hey, buddy.
Man.
Was to your right. Sorry, I was checking your door.
I knew you guys were going to question that. I don't know which way to go about it, but
I was confused.
To my right is Dean. To my left is Gregory Verga, aka GVZ.
Well, yo, it's your busy boys in the busy bob.
The way they're saying it, I'm to your left.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
We're not getting into this.
To your right, you have GVZ. To your left, you have.
Don't do this to me.
I'm just saying.
So first off, before we get started, thank you to all of our patrons that made this happen by getting us to $150 a month on patreon.com/the Level Up Network. You have activated Netflix Club. We're going to be doing this every month, choosing activated. Yes. I don't know yet. We discussed it earlier. We don't know if it's going to be original Netflix stuff every month or if it's going to be anything and everything that's on Netflix, because then you have a catalog that's just ridiculously massive.
I think that is the two adjectives that I like to use to describe myself.
Yeah. There's a lot of trash on Netflix too, so that could make this kind of fun.
Yeah, that's true.
I like garbage, but only when I'm the one supplying it.
So, all the time?
Nice.
No, what? That was fucked up.
Because you're garbage.
Netflix Club, activate!
Yeah.
It's Netflix.
All right, so for the premiere month of Netflix Club, we decided to watch Black Mirror Season 3, Episode 2, titled Playtest.
I was thinking.
It's about a guy that goes to Britain to escape some personal problems and gets involved in a very scary horror game. Kind of fitting, considering we talk about video games so much here on the Level Up Network.
What are video games?
Shut up, Greg. So...
Here.
I'm going to go to you guys first. Dean, let's go to you first. What did you think of the episode? Let's start simple. What did you think?
It was a little bit of a roller coaster of emotions. I felt like I started off and I'm like, this guy's a tool. This kind of sucks. It's a bad Twilight Zone ripoff. And then there's this crazy peak and I'm like, oh no, I don't know what's happening anymore. And then by the end of it, I was like, "This was fucking great. It was crazy. It was crazy." And
let me ask you real quick: why did you feel like it was a bad Twilight Zone ripoff? It is getting a lot of comparisons to Twilight Zone.
Well, keep in mind, I've never seen the show before. This was the first episode I ever watched. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Of any of the seasons, and I don't know. It was like the guy was definitely a tool. I guess he was acting like a tool. Like he was trying to be a tool, and so like because he behaves that way, the first I don't know, like 3/4 of the episode until it gets crazy, I was like, this is really cheesy and kind of stupid until it really took off. And I was like, oh, this is kind of nuts. This is kind of freaking out. I feel like
if they made him more likable, like that guy that they picked to play him, I feel like you would have felt for him a lot more in the episode. You know what I mean? Like,
see, I'm a little confused actually. I'm surprised that you guys didn't feel for him.
But at the end, I did.
See, I felt for him the whole episode because I thought it was pretty obvious, like what the guy was going through. So just to give a little bit of background, I hope you all watch this, the people watching, and if you haven't yet, I'll tweet it out after this episode to tell you guys to watch it, because it's obviously Black Mirror is tight. Each episode is this isolated experience, and that's what's kind of cool about Black Mirror. And Twilight Zone gets comparisons because Twilight Zone was the same way, where every episode is an isolated experience. So in this one, it starts off with this guy named Cooper, and he's leaving home at the beginning and jumps on a plane and goes to Britain, and he keeps avoiding calls from his mother over and over and over again. He seems to be having this fun escape experience. He meets a girl named Sonia. She's the one who pushes him after his credit card information gets stolen or something along those lines, and he's stuck in Britain. So he meets this girl named Sonia, and she pushes him onto this way of making money at a game developer named Saito Gamu or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's like two Greek symbols, some nonsense.
Right, and he's beta testing a new gaming experience from this guy that's pretty much like Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so it's Kojima.
Yeah, meets Mikami, I guess, is the other one I would compare it to. But it has a lot of little video game nods here and there. But the reason I was feeling for him is because I could see what he was going through, like the way he wanted to call his mom, but he kept banging his head into the phone, and for some reason he has this really strong resistance to talk with his mom. It has something to do with his dad, which we'll get to later on. Yeah, and it was his downfall, as we'll also talk about. But I'm the opposite. I actually fell for him the whole episode.
It's
Greg,
really
what did you think?
I actually was. I have experience of having that kind of relationship with my mom at a point in time, and I still was like, nah, this guy's a fucking tool. I don't really, I didn't feel like it.
The actor took me out of it. I hated the main actor in this episode. I loved Sonia. I loved, and this isn't my first episode in the series. Let me start up by saying that. I've watched all of season 1, all of season 2. This is the only episode I've watched of season 3, which I want to point out is the Netflix original season. Otherwise, previously the show was done on BBC, so I've seen like John Hamm's been on it before and blah, blah, blah. So this was like the first episode I was going into. Dean brought up that he was from This Is 40, the main guy.
Right. I forgot all about that until you said it, Dean.
Which is I've never seen that film. So
I really thought that guy was a professional hockey player until I saw him pop up on this show.
Dean said surprise. But yeah, I had never seen him previous to this, so I had no idea who he was. I love the black girl who's kind of like taking him through the testing experience and everything. I love
Sonia. Oh, you're not Sonia. You're talking about
girl.
Katie?
Katie or Christy?
Katie.
I think it's Katie.
But yeah, I didn't really feel for him at all. He kind of seemed like a douchebag. Like, he was very much going into the whole thing like, oh, I'm not going to be scared. And I'm like, I hope they scare the fuck out of you because you're a fucking douchebag and I hate you.
Wow.
And then when they scare the fuck out of him, I'm like, good. Like, that's what you get. The whole time I'm watching the episode, though, I originally watched this episode with my friend. And then I watched it just again before we did this. I wanted to rewatch it just so it was fresh on my head. And watching it by myself the second time, I'm like, I would never do this. I would never in a million years. You could not pay me enough money to put some implant into my fucking brain and tell me to go run around in an abandoned mansion by myself. Fuck that. Fuck.
I would do the first part, because the first part, you might have even seen on screen there, he's just doing this like whack-a-mole goofer game, which is really cool.
The first part's where it all went wrong still.
Yeah, Drew. You're with shit in your brain?
True. Hold on a sec, though. But the first part is he's doing this whack-a-mole experience. It's kind of like augmented reality. They sit him in this chair, they implant a mushroom, they keep having these little gaming nods, that's obviously Mario there, into the back of his head, which is supposed to like communicate with his brain and make him think that what's happening is real. Yeah, I agree with you guys. That should have been the first like red alarm. Like, holy shit,
he was so like okay. I would have been like, nope, never mind. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I would have been like, take the fucking mushroom out of my fucking neck.
That was the thing. He was so like nonchalant about the idea.
They didn't prepare him enough for it though. Like, Katie's like, oh, it's no more invasive than piercing your ear. And then later on in the episode, while he's trying to take it out, it's like, don't do that, Cooper. It'll kill you.
She's like, you'll die.
Like, what?
There were
That's like a big escalation
in this thing. We'll get to it, I'm sure, but there are
exactly, because the inconsistencies can be explained by the end of the episode. So what's cool though is,
like you said, the gaming references. One of my favorite was the bodyguard, Raul or whatever, and he goes when he first arrives at the thing, and Katie's like, oh, like leave your bag, like Raul will get it, and he goes, oh, Raul will get it. He was like, I feel like he's one of those endgame bosses that you have to defeat. He was like, Hadouken! And Raul just stands there so cold.
Did you guys see the I'm pretty sure it was an Abstergo logo on his phone on the
when he first goes to I saw that too.
And Edge Magazine, of course, was featured in the episode. Mm-hmm. The Saitu, whatever his name was, that developer, was on the cover of Edge Magazine. When he goes into Sonia's apartment at the beginning, she has a ton of games. BioShock's in there, which was also referenced later. You got Dark Souls, and a few others are all featured on her shelf. So, it has these like little gaming nods throughout it. It's cool. Clearly supposed to be like a Silent Hill-esque, Resident Evil-esque game that this guy is developing. He seems like that kind of guy. But after he passes by the bodyguard, he goes in with Katie, and that's like the point where it all begins, and then everything after that, you're not quite sure if it's real or not, because you don't know if it's in his head or whatnot. But they bring him to like a replica mansion where he has to stay the nights, and who knows what's going to happen.
You could not pay me enough money to run further away from them.
No way. Chance.
No way.
As we know here, I am the residential level up baby man. I was like, oh my god, I would have just collapsed and died in this place. Yeah. I can't deal with it.
You know what it reminded me of?
Non-alcoholic. Fuck that.
What it reminded me was Until Dawn, because they said to him.
That's what I got vibes of.
Yeah, because they said to him, like, this experience is going to shape itself around your biggest fears. And in Until Dawn, at the very beginning, like, you're choosing the tarot cards, like, if you're afraid of zombies or clowns or werewolves or whatever. But this is, like, a million times higher level than that. Like, it's literally reaching into your brain, finding out what you're most afraid of, and making that happen. Like, the moment they said that to him, wouldn't you be like, hell to the no, am I doing this?
Bees? Oh, the bees, guys. The bees.
And he's clearly afraid of spiders, because spiders is like the first thing that pops up. But it's cool. They kind of set up a few things. Like the spider is on the TV in the airplane when he's on his way over. He talks about a bully, Scott Peters, to Sonia. And he talks about, of course, his father having early onset Alzheimer's and dying. And that seems to be obviously a big personal thing for him and why he's not talking to his mother. And all of these things pop up throughout his horror experience to really push him and tease him to the edge.
His first breaking point is Sonia, and that was my first breaking point, where I was like, fucking call Katie and tell her stop. Like, why was he not yelling stop in that instance? Because everything that he touches in the episode, like, you can like put your hand through and it's like holographic or whatever, and then Sonia comes to the house and he can touch her and he's like, oh, okay, like, you've been in on this whole thing, you sent me here, and then she fucking stabs him, and oh my god, it's crazy. And then she turns
that's the thing, is at that point
I'm like, fuck this,
he's so confused at that point. Like they've messed with his head so much that he has no idea what's real or fake anymore, because he's like, how could she possibly be here? How could you be here? You don't know where I am, but I can touch you, so you must be real. And that goes against what they told him earlier in the episode, that everything is audio visual. So the guy is just out of his mind at the point, has no idea what's going on.
But so why didn't then he open the door to let her in? And then after that all plays out, like after the whole, the reveal of her all plays out, and he's like, okay, I'm good. And then he's like, stop, you got to stop this. And she's like, okay, just hold on. And he doesn't think to like, I'm going to get out of this house. Yeah. He remembered he could open the door. Why didn't he just try to open the door?
Well, at that point, doesn't he sit down and start saying, like, stop, I'm out, take me out of this thing?
Yeah, but then also, why not get out of the house?
Yeah, because she's the one who tells him that he has to go to the access point.
Right.
Right, and he just opened the front door, so why not just go to the front door?
What happens at the end? Because I still don't know.
Okay, so
I've now watched this twice. I have no fucking...
tie up this conclusion here.
Really?
So,
I thought it was super clear.
I thought it was super clear too, but we'll go into detail here. So he starts to forget memories, which is obviously tied to his father, who had early onset Alzheimer's. They're taking his biggest fear of all time, that he's also going to be like his father, and pushing it against him. And it's great too, because he's about to go to the access point and he's like, there's going to be something terrible behind this door. My mom's going to be hanging from a noose or something. And she's like, no, Cooper, there's nothing going to be there. Would you kindly please open the door?
Yeah.
That was great, wasn't it? You guys picked up on that, I hope.
That was cool.
That was really cool. And then when he gets into the room, she's like, this entire thing has been about pushing you to the edge where you'll listen to everything we're saying. But moments later, you find out that all of that is fake as well. He starts losing his memory.
Yeah, so none of that was real, correct?
And he's about to take a mirror shard and cut out the thing, and then they rush in. They start unhooking him, and they tell him, "We can't stop it. Like, your memories are gone.
Like, you're fucked.
You're fucked, pretty much." Yeah, it's what they tell him. And then they're about to drag him. Right, exactly, because they're about to drag him away. And this ties to what Sonia said earlier. She, who is also fake, says, 5 people have gone missing. So this must have already been a fear in his head. He must have thought about this, because for Sonia to say that and it not to be real, it must have already been within his head. Yeah. So they start dragging him away, and it all flashes away to the very moment, not the very first moment, but one of the first moments where they put the mushroom into his brain.
Yeah, and the mom's
and they immediately unplug it, and like, that was 1 second. And they're like, this is clearly too intense. I apologize. Why don't you go on your way home? So then he goes to his home to finally confront his mother, who's been avoiding the entire episode, goes in there. The mom is trying to call somebody.
And she was creepy as shit, too.
Yeah, that was creepy.
And then he's looking at her. He's like, I'm here, Mom. She keeps saying, I'm trying to call Cooper. He's like, I'm right here. I'm right here. And then you kind of realize this is a flashback to when she must have been trying to call him. Yeah. And then it goes to the very first moment when they plugged him in and a phone call happened. and must have disrupted everything. Because when he first goes there, we forgot to talk about this, he's trying to take pictures of like the beta, the testing. He doesn't want to get the money from testing the beta. He wants to get money from
like exposing
revealing,
them,
exposing the secrets. So he tries to take a picture. He turns back on his phone even though he wasn't supposed to. And then without Katie knowing, the phone rings at the very, very beginning of the experiment, and I guess causes interference that completely screws everything up and destroys his brain. And he is dead.
Oh, so that's what happened.
Yeah, none of it was real.
Did you
Absolutely
not see
none
him
of it was real.
being zipped up in a body bag?
So much sense. And then he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
Everything that happened after that point is 0.04 seconds. All of that, the entire experience happened within 0.04 seconds. Which is why I was saying,
no, you don't want to do that first moment with the Gopher game, because that's really where it all got fucked, because he turned his...
Well, what he shouldn't have done is he shouldn't have turned back on the phone, and they shouldn't have allowed phones into the room, or they should have made it a room that doesn't allow phone interference.
See, this is why this show's fucked, because every episode, at the end of it, I have to go back and rewatch the ending, and then I watched every episode with Becca, and when I'm going and I'm talking to Becca about it, she's like, what the fuck happened? I'm like, I don't really know, and then we rewatch it again, and we're like, oh, okay, this makes more sense. So rewatching it the second time, I was like, oh, so that all happened. None of that really happened, or if it did all happen, it happened within a millisecond, and then he's dead.
Seems to piss some people off.
Well, it all happened in his head.
It all happened in his head. None of it was truly real.
Yeah, but it all happened within like a second, and then he was like seizing and died because of the interference of the phone call.
Right, but the idea is still the same, that it's going to take your biggest fears and have them play out.
Right.
And that's what happened to him. His biggest fears played out in
it's like,
literally 0.04 seconds.
It's like how they say, like when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. Yeah. Like, it's a similar concept, but in this case, it was all of his biggest fears, and like this whole thing.
That way to die.
But so, it definitely made me interested in watching the others, for sure.
Oh,
I love that, like, trippy stuff. Mm-hmm. How has this been 3 seasons? This has been a Netflix show?
No, 2 were on the BBC. So season 1 was on the BBC, and it was like when it first came out, I originally remember hearing about it, but it was like a condensed amount of episodes. It was a mini series that they were doing, and they talked about it and advertised it like a Twilight Zone about futuristic technology. So every episode is about some technological advanced future, where like one of the episodes is about a memory implant that you get injected into your head, and all of your memories play before your eyes. Like you can scan any. Like it's lifetime recording.
The third season is Netflix made?
Yeah, the third season is the only one that's made.
Do you recommend watching the first 2? Did you guys watch the other 2?
I only watched the first 2. This is the only episode I watched out of the Netflix original. And the first 2 seasons are phenomenal.
Okay, so here's what I have to say. The third season is by far my favorite. I like the Netflix exclusive season.
That's the only one I'm probably going to watch, to be honest with you.
The first 2 seasons have some good episodes, but overall I was pretty disappointed in the first 2 seasons after watching the third season.
Yeah, well, you went backwards.
Yeah, I did 3 and then 2 and then 1.
I went the opposite. I did 1, 2, and then...
But I will say that's the opposite of what I've read online. Most people think the Netflix season is the worst because they say it's not ballsy enough.
Really?
Like the first 2, like compared to this one episode I watched out of season 3, the first 2 are like... They're fucking crazy. The first episode is about a guy, the Prime Minister of Britain, and the princess gets kidnapped, and this terrorist group asks him to fuck a pig on live television or they're going to kill the princess. And that's what the first episode is about. And you think about that on paper and you're like, that sounds like the dumbest idea ever for a television show. But the way it plays out, you're like, holy shit, dude. Like, this is crazy. And that's
that was actually my favorite episode of the first 2 seasons.
Me too. How many episodes are in the first 2 seasons that come out?
3 in the first season, 4 in the second season, 6
in
the third season.
That's not bad. I can watch. I can handle
And they're
that.
all about an hour. They're like 45 minutes.
Because I'm trying to weigh. There's so much to watch, but I'd like to knock this out. And that's
the one I would really recommend watching. There's a few actually I would recommend watching in the third season. I would really recommend watching the episode right after this one, the third episode. That's probably my favorite of the entire series. But I will say that it's probably polarizing. It's by far the darkest episode. It has a really, really dark ending. But I really like it for that. The fourth episode is the most uplifting and kind of positive episode of the series. A lot of people dislike it for that, but I think it's a really powerful episode.
Back to this episode we watched that nobody touched on. The biggest thing, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for some reason.
Oh, God.
When he gets to the guy's office, Kojima wannabe's office.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, the Gopher game was so much fun. And he's like, the game was really fun. And then she's like, oh, I got it. And she translates.
Yeah.
And then he just starts talking in almost perfect English.
Yeah, I was.
And the thing is, well,
because games make you smile. I'm like, a second ago, this fucking guy couldn't speak English.
Yeah. Almost every plot hole in the episode, though, can be explained by the fact that it's not real.
I suppose, but when they go back to the very first,
how that's the thing, dude.
Well, that's the way my brain works, dude. But when they go back to the very first, and that's what I was thinking. But then they go back to then they come back, right? And they're like, oh, that was only 1 second. I'm like, okay, well, that still could have been fake because that wasn't real either. But then they go all the way back into where he dies, and the guy comes in, and he's still like, what did he say? Okay, write that down. And he still speaks great English. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He literally never meets the guy. Yeah. If you think about it, he never meets Saito.
Yeah, that's true.
He only meets Katie. So everything in his head is just what he thinks Saito would be like, based off of the picture from the magazine and what Sonya said. Yeah. So he has no idea who Saito is. And
that's a little bit of a cop-out, I feel like.
It is. The episode definitely has some inconsistencies. But I think it's kind of cool what it tries to do. I like the kind of moral of the episode of, running away from your problems and them coming back to bite you in the ass super hard.
That's what I love about this show in general is every episode, like I said, without watching the Netflix original season, the first 2 seasons, it was like you said, it was like 7 episodes, I think, altogether. But every episode ends and you kind of think about your own life in a way at the end of it, because you're like, holy shit, dude, like that tackles so much about personal issues by telling you the story in like a totally unrealistic future, or like sometimes like a realistic future where like a lot of these scenarios could possibly fucking happen down the road, and you're like, holy shit, like I never want to end up here. That's what I love so much about the series. It's
every time I watch it, I'm like,
exactly like Sesame Street.
Technological future. Anything could happen.
You're like, almost
every episode of Black Mirror, you'll kind of sit at the end and be like, holy shit, like what if that actually happened? Because that's what's, I think, the most terrifying thing about the show is almost all the stories are like, this could happen. This could totally happen, and I could see it happening in like the next 5 to 10 years. Like it's really messed up.
I had read online a bit about the show, and a few different sites had kind of come to the consensus that this was not that it was a bad episode, but that it was one of the worst ones of the season.
It is. It's one of the weaker ones.
That's kind of impressive because I thought it was pretty good when all was said and done.
Yeah, I'm totally stoked to watch the Netflix one. Like I said, I was just waiting to watch this one until we did this, but I'm fucking stoked to watch the new one. There's a lot of famous people too in the new season. I know in season 2 they had John Hamm and the guy from I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie with he's like an orange head. He's like a red-headed guy. He plays a British guy in a movie. He plays alongside the girl from Doctor Strange. Who's that actress's name? In The Notebook. Anyway, they have like a bunch. Yes, Rachel McAdams. He's in the series. Like they have a lot of famous people in it, but they're all like one-off episodes. No.
Just move on.
I went through a whole.
Move on. No, but John Hamm is in the second season. Yeah. He's in White Christmas, I think, the 4th episode of the second season, which is also a good episode. They're all fucked up, dude. They're all super fucked up.
I'll definitely watch them all. That's a manageable amount of content.
I mean, if you trust my opinion, Dean, this is probably my second least favorite episode of the 3rd
season. And I typically align on things entertainment-wise. We won't talk about it, but mostly everything else. That's the only time that's happened. Everything else we've been pretty like eye to eye about. So I would take your word for it for sure.
Drew gave me all of my show recommendations I've ever watched, and so far he's fucking batting 2,000. He's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody, I really recommend that everybody watches Black Mirror. If you took part in Netflix Club this month and you only watched episode 2, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you watched the other ones. Don't forget to leave feedback in the comments what you thought of the episode, but also leave some recommendations. We'd love to know what you guys think we should watch in next month's episode of Netflix Club. And maybe we'll even do some polls. We're not entirely sure how this is all going to work yet, but it is going to be a monthly thing. And we're excited for it.
You gotta run.
And we're so thankful that you guys brought us
sometimes.
Here. I like that.
What was that?
I said you gotta run instead of crawling sometimes.
I love this. What was that?
We just leaped out and we were like, we're gonna fucking do this Netflix Club. We didn't really
Surprise,
think about it.
Motherfuckers! We can watch
but I like it. It's a good time because I probably wouldn't have watched it. I thought about watching Black Mirror just hearing people talk about it, but because I have so much else to play and watch, I probably never would have if it wasn't for this. So this is pretty cool. I like that it encourages us to watch different things.
Kind of out of
I feel like we should draw some lines, though, to people making recommendations. We're not going to watch, like, an entire series in 1 month or anything along those lines.
Right.
Like, maybe we will watch one season if it's a short season. For instance, the OA has 8 episodes. That's possible, but still pushing it. But you guys get the idea. Like, we have busy schedules, so it has to be something that you think we can fit into 1 month, along with everything else that we're doing.
And we're kind of
Level
like
Up Network.
movies are on the table here, right?
Yes, they are.
Cool. That's cool.
There are some Netflix original movies, too. There's not just TV series on Netflix. They have original movies. They have one that we talked about earlier called The Discovery. I'm really interested in that. Those are the kind of things maybe we could do in the future.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm excited about this. Like Dean said, I'm excited to be encouraged to watch stuff kind of out of my box. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, cool. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Like, subscribe here on youtube.com/levelupnetwork. Leave feedback, leave recommendations. Come back next month for the second episode of the Netflix Club. What are we doing?
Don't you
forget about me.
Don't you.
As you walk on by.
All right.